Morning, Fayaz. Just checking if the audio is working.
It's working, Dr. Anupam. Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Sam. Good to hear you all. I hope my voice was loud and clear. I could
It
hear
is
you.
clear. It is clear, Anupam. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Anupam Joshi, sir. Thank you so much. Good morning. Now it is 10 o'clock and let's see. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir.
If everybody agrees, now it is 10 o'clock and we should start our
Recording
program.
in progress.
Very good morning and wetland welcome to our keynote speakers, Sri Manu Bhatnagar sir, Dr. Asghar Nawab, Dr. Anupam Joshi sir, Dr. Rajiv Tiwari sir, Professor C.R. Babu, and my dear Neeraj sir and Professor Sanjeev Kumar Tiwari, Principal Agrasen College, Professor Joshi sir from JNU, and all teachers and students, and my dear colleagues. We all know that water makes up 60 to 75% of human body weight. And simply a loss of just 4% of total body water leads to dehydration. And probably a loss of 15% can be fatal. We all also understand, in fact, the importance of water very well. And wetland, and we also know the importance of wetland for this precious water. Wetlands, in fact, functions as natural sponges that trap and slowly release surface water, rain, groundwater, and flood water, and hence a major source of water. Today, in fact, we are here to celebrate life-supporting wetlands in the name of World Wetland Day, and which every year we, in fact, celebrate on 2nd February to mark the date of adoption of Convention on Wetland in the Iranian city of Ramsar. So I hope if Professor Sanjeev Tiwari joined us, then I will request him to begin the function. Neeraj sir?
I think he joined. He had joined.
So, sir, I have joined. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. So,
Thank you, sir.
It is very interesting to see that many colleges, and including Professor Tiwari as a principal, joined this program that will enhance the quality of the program, and a student will learn many things. So, just in the beginning, I will request Professor Sanjeev Tiwari, who is a professor of political science in Maharaja Agrasen College, and he knows very well the politics of nature, the politics behind wetland, the politics behind river conservation. So now I will request Professor Sanjeev Tiwari sir to speak few words and interact with the students and all teachers and other dignitaries. Over to Sanjeev sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Respected Professor C.R. Babuji, Dr. Rajiv Tiwari ji, Dr. Asghar Nawab ji, Sri Manu Bhatnagar ji, my friend, colleague and senior, Dr. Neeraj Kumar Singh ji, respected colleagues from the college and the different colleges from the university, and my dear students. It's indeed a great pleasure to associate with the lead Biodiversity Park and DDA to organize such type of programs frequently in every year almost. Last year also we did it in collaboration with the Delhi Biodiversity Park. Basically, when we celebrate the International Wet Day, we all know the importance of the wet day nowadays. The entire world is moving around the politics of ecology, and the ecology or environment, it's having a great force, not only to impact the politics, but also in coming days, it will set the agenda of today. We could see that how was the scenario in Delhi when the pollution was there, air pollution was there. And there was big hue and cry. And the schools were closed, the colleges were already closed. And that is why when we see the importance of the wetland, we could see that basically the encroachment and the pollution which is happening every time on the wetland. And basically it's delaying the process of notification of the wetlands, which was started in 2017. I think it's correct. When the wetland rules, they were notified by the government. As far as the wetland is concerned, we know the importance of this. Basically, the lack of manpower is also there to manage those wetlands. No trained manpower is there. And I think Professor C.R. Babu has been doing a wonderful job by not only conserving the Yamuna Biodiversity Park, which is nearby here, but he's adding some prestige to the university in last several years. As far as the Delhi is concerned, we all know that Delhi aims to notify almost 1,040 wetlands, and out of which 10 are prioritized. Priorities has been given to the 10 wetlands, but still not even a single wetland is notified. There is need to ascertain that how many wetlands in Delhi have been encroached upon. We could see everywhere the land sharks are there, the unauthorized colonies are there, and they are basically the soft target is the wetland areas, which is no claim zone, or even the houses nearby, they try to encroach in the wetlands. That means the wetlands are going to be because the water is the life, and you could see the scarcity of water everywhere in all big cities, either it's Chennai or it's Mumbai or it's Delhi, and nowadays Bangalore. And there is almost water crisis everywhere. There is fight between the two states for the water. And these wetlands are the important treasure for increase and maintain the water level beneath the earth. And that is why I think that it's a very good initiative. And Maharaja Agrasen College is always open to do all type of collaborations and assistance and inculcate the values to maintain the wetland and to preserve the wetland, to maintain the water level, to add how to arrest the pollution. And I think that my colleague Neeraj has been doing a wonderful job, not only in the college, but also he's always sensitive about Delhi, Yamuna and other places. And we are having a strong team to look and assist to the Yamuna Biodiversity Park and DDA. And we are always happy to do that. With these words, I welcome you all on the behalf of Maharaja Agrasen College in this important webinar on the International Wetland Day. And I think that this type of awareness seminars and webinars, they are going to pay a rich dividend in the coming days. when we are going to train our students and the future citizens of the country that how to respect it and how to preserve it. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Over to you now.
Thank you, sir. And you have actually set the agenda by saying that ecology, environment will set the political agenda worldwide. Thank you so much for giving such a good word to the student and other, person associated with today's webinar. Now, actually, we are going to look at a noted urban environmental planner, masters in regional planning from Cornell University, has been working since last 30 years in the field of urban biodiversity, environmental planning, lake conservation and management planning, river basin planning, etc. Yes, I am now inviting none other than Manu Bhatnagar sir, Principal Director, National Heritage Division, Intact, to share his experience with us. Manu Bhatnagar sir, over to you.
Thank you, Fayazji, for inviting me to give a talk. And I'm happy to note that there are so many, a large number of students who are in the audience. And so I have tried to, put together a presentation which will be, it's not very scientific, it's not very, expert oriented, but it is for the enthusiast. And I do hope that the students who are hearing this are going to be the environmentalists of the future and take up the cause of wetlands in the years to come. So without much ado, I'll just launch into the presentation. So the presentation is entitled Journey Amongst Wetlands. Now, before I launch into the presentation, I'll just like to say a few words about my organization and myself. So I work at the Indian National Trust for Art and Cultural Heritage. This is a registered society which was set up in 1984 with the mandate to conserve the heritage of India in all its forms.
I am unable to hear anything.
Could you hear?
Me too also, Fayaz.
Manu Bhatnagar sir. Dr. Nawab, could you hear?
Yes, Dr. Fayaz, I can hear your voice, but I don't hear any audio from Dr. Manu Bhatnagar sir.
I think the connection has gone
Seems like.
on their side. Yeah, it is.
एक बार बात करें। I'm trying to connect Manu Bhatnagar.
Uh, hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm sorry, the connection, the electricity went for a moment. Uh, yes. So this is the slide which is showing you the famous lake of Nainital, and as you can see, it's the basin of the lake, the catchment area. It's all a very pristine environment. But this is the situation way back in 1850. Now, how do we go about development? That you can see in the next image. Uh, and here is the same hillsides, completely covered with human habitation without any sewer facility, so on. All that muck used to reach into the lake of Nainital and completely, destroyed the ecosystem of that lake. Here is Bhalaswa Lake, which is in North Delhi. Now, if I show you this map, is a 1936 map, which shows you it is a Oxbow Lake on the floods of the Yamuna. Okay, now what happened was that after 1964, the administration of Delhi used this part of the lake as what is now the Bhalaswa landfill site. So it's filled with garbage and through which rainwater goes through and completely contaminates the groundwater in that area. So what is left is this part, the southern arm of the lake, and which is, you can see in the Google imagery over here. We'll come back to it. But just to tell you that in Delhi, we have the Balaswa Lake, which is as large as the Nainital Lake. So about half a square kilometer. Another lake, that is the Sanjay Lake. This is again from the 1936 Survey of India map. Now, earlier on, you see, the river was connected to these wetlands. But later on, what happened was that embankments have been built to prevent the flooding of these built-up areas. And so the river water during flood does not fill these lakes anymore. So the filling has to be done artificially. So if you go to Sanjay Lake, which I think is not too far from Maharaja Agrasen College, you will find that it is filled with groundwater. This is Sanjay Lake now. In the previous map, you saw how unpopulated the area was, and in this you can see that the lake is in the middle of a very densely populated and built urban area. And here is a historical example, Tughlakabad Fort. Now, over there, you had between the fort and the Tughlaq Tomb and the Adilabad Fort, you had these causeways, which used to capture a great deal of water over here. But what has happened is, and that used to be the source of water for the forts. But now here you see the causeway is still there, but it has been punctured through by this road, which was the old Agra road. So this does not function anymore. Excuse me, please, no noise. Now, here are the water bodies which Professor Tiwari was just talking about, and these are some ponds in Delhi. Now, how do we treat these ponds? So here we find this is one which is a natural condition, but over here you see that the same is being built over, and they are introducing some, maybe playground or stadium into the lake and capture the lake area itself. You might have heard of the great floods in Chennai, and you find that there were hundreds of water bodies in Chennai which used to moderate the floods by capturing the rainwater. But now many of them have been filled over and they have been built over. So the water does not have any place to go. And so you find all those images where, water is in the airport, the buses are floating, cars are floating, and so on. So, see, now as we went along, So IUCN first given this definition. IUCN in International Union for Conservation of Nature. That wetlands are those areas of marsh, fen, etc., which are less than 6 meter deep. Okay, but lakes can be much deeper. There is a distinction between wetlands and lake. Wetlands, the word itself means a wet land, so that's interaction between land and water. Whereas in the case of lakes, which are of course in the larger category of wetlands, lakes are more sharply defined. They have more precise, accurate spread areas and very clear littoral line. That is the edge, shoreline. Now, uh, wetlands provide a lot of ecosystem services. Ecosystem services can be supporting, they can be productive, they can be cultural, they can be climate regulating or other regulations. And so, wetlands and lakes, they provide you with several functions. Uh, uh, Habitat, biodiversity habitats, uh, groundwater recharge, uh, purification of water. Then, if you go near lakes and wetlands, you'll find the climate is cooler. So, in these times of global warming, they serve this purpose also. You get food. They can be carbon sinks also to some extent. They enhance the soil moisture, and of course, you have cultural services like recreation and so on. In present days, lakes are greatly threatened. And I won't go through this, list, but let me say that hunger for land in the country is so high that if you blink your eyes, you'll find the wetland is disappearing under some other usage. Okay. Now, as a reaction to that, a lot of activists have gone to courts, and there are many judgments from the High Court, from the Supreme Court, from the National Green Tribunal, which have put some brake on the destruction of wetlands. Okay, so now as I went along, first in Delhi, and here what I found was that our, villages, they had a very interesting system of creating water sources. Now this is Kakrola village, which is a major village in, Dwarka area. And you would find that the Abadi area of these villages, that would be on a kind of a small hillock. Now, how the hillock came to be there in a plain, I do not know. My guess is that they would excavate ponds and put the earth, in a place on which they would then build their village. And when the rainwater would fall on the slopes of this hill, the water would then go towards the periphery and fill the ponds which had been dug out. Okay. Now, so in general, I found between 4 to 6 meter height of these, mounds in the villages of North India. Okay. Now, can we see the same in the Google imagery? And here you find that this is the village. So you have the pond here, you have the pond here, and you have the pond here. Okay. So this is something which is generally there, and you'll find that some pond is reserved for animals, and some ponds are reserved for human use only. Now I went on to the Horsecast Lake. Horsecast was an artificial tank which was created in about 1398 by Alauddin Khilji. He had his military camp over here, and to service that with water, this tank was created. Now, this tank used to get the water from the southern ridge. You have, here you have Qutub Minar area and so on. And from here, the runoff of the rain, the flow of water after the rain, would come into this area and then fill into the falls. Now, as you can see, this is all unpopulated area in the 1936 Survey of India map. And here you find that the whole area has been completely urbanized. So this is IIT, this is JNU, and these are, residential areas. And as a result of that, the water flow into, the halls that got diverted because the municipality believed in diverting all the water to the Yamuna. And so this was the situation of the halls when we came upon it in 1998. Completely dry. Okay. So we made a scheme with DDA, Delhi Development Authority, whereby, after a lot of investigations, we found that the water would not hold in the hall because the soil was very porous. So it required, not just rainwater, it required a lot of regular inflow. And so what we did was that here is the Vasankund sewage treatment plant, which treated the, soil water from the habitations in its catchment, and then flowed that discharge into this stream. And it came into Sanjay 1. And over here, we made a series of check dams. And in one of the check dams, we carried out treatment with floating plants known as duckweed. So the much cleaner water would then come through this NCERT, through IIT, and then from over here, if it went straight, it would go to Yamuna. But here we had a diversion structure, and from here we admitted it into the halls. So this was happening in 2004. And, the duckweed plant we got from some other lake, say Badkal Lake from Faridabad. We introduced it into a nursery, and then we put it into the check dams. And here you can see the entire water of the check dam covered with duckweed plants, like this. And then the clean water is coming into the halls. And then this was the result which we got. Okay. So it was, very satisfying. And because of this, we have been able to recharge about 2,000 million liters of water in that area. And here you can see the halls from another angle. And, the groundwater, I'm happy to say we took the tests after, great intervals. And I can assure you that this water with very slight treatment is drinkable water. And so the old monuments in that area, they also regained their old foreground. And in the Google imagery also, the water of the house was reflected. The house has it's about 15 acres or so, 16 acres. And there is a 1 acre island in the middle of it, which is used by birds. And that water began to attract a lot of birds, especially in the migratory season. And we had put in, about 2 lakh fish fingerlings. And so that was a great draw. And this is a photograph taken by Professor Surya Prakash of JNU. These common poachers are, rather uncommon. And various species of birds. When I look at this image, I always say that the white man rules in this conference of ducks. And food from the Himalayas, resident sport-billed ducks. Then these, African catfish floated down into the halls, and they're about 3-4 feet long. Now, this was done with DDA and ultimately handed over to them. Later on, things were not managed too well, and the halls, the water quality deteriorated. So this is what is known as, a eutrophic lake, where you have a rich nutrient content, which gives rise to this algae, which in simple words is kai. And so we carried out this process of biological bioremediation using bacteria. And as a result of that, ultimately in about a month's time, we had much cleaner water where the sunlight could penetrate to the end of the lake. And the results can be seen how the change took place towards the cleaner water in these sample bottles. And now I come to Sanjay Lake, which again we made a plan for Sanjay Lake. The plan was to bring in water from the Kondli sewage treatment plant, and over here we built anaerobic baffle reactor and then a linear wetland. Ultimately, the plan did not fructify, but those structures are still there. Jahangirpuri marshes, a huge 5 square kilometer marshy area, which is now mostly urbanized. And now they'll probably have a half square kilometer lake, if at all. But these plans were prepared earlier on in 2003. But again, as I said, there is so much pressure on land, especially in Delhi. that, natural features are always targeted. Bhalaswa Lake, it is next to a dairy colony, and so a whole lot of this cow dung slurry is gone into the lake. Now, that had resulted in situations like this when the entire surface of the lake was covered with water hyacinth, jalkumbi. Of course, they have physically cleaned it, but still a lot of work remains to be done. Here you can see the lake being covered in the satellite imagery with the floating weeds. We carried out a lot of studies. We also found that since the lake is no longer connected to the river, it also becomes dry in certain years. And here you see all that cow dung slurry coming in. And we had carried out certain experiments with the irrigation flood control department, whereby we brought in Yamuna water through the backflow in the flood season and filled the lake with clean water and got such results. A whole lot of studies had to be done. I'm just taking you into the detail of this one so as to show you what lake management or lake planning can be about. And so this is the profile of the lake bed taken. Studies on the water, on the soil sediments, on the groundwater quality, and areas where all the silt would be removed and to what extent, that was all marked out. And the new profile of the lake was then designed on paper. And then ultimately, this is the hydrological model. A hydrological model is a simple thing which shows you existing water content plus rainfall plus any other inflow minus evaporation minus groundwater recharge and so on. So you know what is the end volume of water, and this can be calculated month-wise. So that we knew that we require every day about 6.5 million liters of water, okay, in summers. And so here was the plan that after desiltation, we would have a STP, a sewage treatment plant on the supplementary drain, and treat it and bring in water into the lake where we would have fish, floating fountain, and so on. This was later modified that we would have a soil biotechnology plant over here and then admit the water. So the plan is far more detailed. We can't go into that at this moment, but this is how it was. Now, again, looking at my 1936 map, I found this formation at Tikri Khurd village, which is in the Narela area. Now, note also this rectangle over here. Now, when I looked at this, I sent my people to the ground and asked them to see whether this water body is still there. And what they found is that only this part of the water body remains. All this has been, put under urbanization. Okay. Now, when I looked in the, wetland atlas of Delhi, this is the Balaswa Lake, by the way. And over here, I found that, those water bodies were shown. Okay. So they actually had Supreme Court protection because Supreme Court, through its 2017 February 8th judgment, says that all wetlands noted in the National Wetland Atlas of 2011 have to be protected. So here we find this is the remaining part of the lake, and this is still 9 hectares. And as you can see, the village on both sides is trying to, capture that land. Land in Delhi is very valuable. Land underwater is commercially not valuable. We as environmentalists value it for ecosystem services, but others think that the commercialized value of captured land is far superior. So now when we started making a noise about it in 2013, and this is the lake, then what happened was that immediately after that, there was this attempt to encroach the lake. Before it can be protected, let's encroach it. Okay. However, in 2017, we went to the court and the National Green Tribunal. And then as a result of that, in 2018. In 2019, the Wetland Authority of Delhi, as a result of this judgment, got notified. And now DDA is actually building a boundary wall to protect this lake. And hopefully later on, lake rejuvenation efforts will also be instituted. And for that, we have prepared the scheme where from Narela STP, water would be brought in into this Tikrikud lake. And this is that square tank I'm talking about. It's opposite the railway station of Narela. This is a 6-hectare, what we call the Mughal tank. Okay. And if you see, this will also be filled. You can see it over here. And here's a photograph of the same. It shows you it's fortunately unencroached land. And there were plans to build a stadium in this low-lying ground, which fortunately have been quashed. Now I take you to the Najafgarh. This is the map of Delhi. And I think Agrasen College is somewhere here. Now on this side, that is north of Gurgaon, this is the border, and this is the area of the Najafgarh Jheel. Now Najafgarh Jheel is a very old water body seen in the maps of 1807. But you see, both on the Delhi side and on the Gurgaon side, particularly on the Gurgaon side, the most valuable land of Gurgaon is next to the border of Delhi. And so they would not like any of these lands to be, under natural features. They would like tall buildings to stand and everybody to make their money. Now here is the inflow water, and you can see it's fortunately quite clean. And this is the lake in 1995 floods. This lake used to be 240 square kilometers during certain floods, 240 square kilometers. And in the 95 floods, or maybe it's the 78 floods, so you can see the rescue operations on that lake. The kind of, bird life, Siberian cranes used to come here. But now from the Gurgaon side, you have these, polluted drains pushing in the dirty, untreated water of Gurgaon into the Najafgarh Jheel. And this is the area of the Jheel. And you can see that the master plans are, allowing building activity onto the bed of the lake. And this over here, you see the multi-story towers, which I'll just show you. Their basements are always full of water. Okay. And this is a zone of soil liquefaction. That is at the time of earthquakes. And this is a seismic zone 4, which can have possibly earthquakes on scale 8, Richter scale. So in a combination situation of earthquake and soil, the soil below will behave like a jelly and these buildings can fall. Okay. So no building should take place in this zone. Okay. But now fortunately, as a result of court action, much of that will get prevented. Here you can see those towers, and you can see the water level is much higher than the base of the towers, and this is in a non-flood situation. In flood situation, how bad it would be. So, and this is the kind, these are photographs which were given to me by Shri Keshav Chandra, who is an IAS officer who was with the Delhi administration. And he is a photography enthusiast who took these photographs in the Najafgarh Jheel. So here you can see the, painted stork, or is it a pelican? And here you can see the, flamingos. In very large numbers. And this is one of the sites where the Asian bird census is carried out. Now, if we, carry out all the protection measures, this is what the Jheel can look like. And you can imagine what it would do to the urban fabric of Delhi. You don't have any recreational places in Delhi, okay, of a large natural area. Now, with a 7 to 8 square kilometer Jheel, and that is the, that is equal to the spread of the Yamuna during the lean season. Okay, so a water body as big as the water spread of the Yamuna in the other side of Delhi. Okay, it would do wonders. Okay, it could be like this. This is an image from the, great, upper lake of Bhopal. Okay, we have even proposed some islands in Najafgarh Jheel, and so on. So, This is a last year's photograph of the Najafgarh Jheel when during rains. Okay, so a lot of possibilities. Then here I'm taking you to the cold water lake of Nainital. Okay, now Nainital Lake, as I showed you in the first few slides, it had become very badly polluted. It has two, valleys within, okay, where the muck was accumulated, and so the oxygen level was extremely low. Huge fish kills would happen over there. Uh, and so it was proposed that, we would take out the lower unoxygenated water by siphon method. Okay. However, in actuality, what happened was that aerators were used and the aerators were pushing in the water, the air into the lower waters and oxygenating it. So gradually the entire, water quality changed for the better. And the lake is one of the very good successful examples. Here I am taking you to another journey. We are doing a project of documentation along the Ganga. Hello, I hope I am being heard.
Yes,
Hello.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir,
There
you
was
are
so much
audible.
of
You are
there
audible,
was so
sir.
much of silence that I thought that I am perhaps talking to myself. Okay. Yeah. So now, along the Ganga there, and along many of our rivers, you find these very large oxbow lakes. The oxbow lakes happen when the river moves around during floods. It takes out some soil and creates a shallow depression, remains filled with water. And very often, it also transmits the fish into these lakes. So very often you find that some of the original fish species may be found in the oxbow lakes, but not in the main channel. Okay, so this is near Kanpur. Now, if I were to tell you the extent of this lake, you would be very surprised. Now, this is a length of around 10 kilometers. Okay, so nothing small. These are scouts 5 kilometers long near Kanpur. Okay, near Bhagalpur, 16 kilometers. 10 kilometers, huge lakes. Now, these are all vulnerable to threats, encroachments, farming, fishing, so they don't remain natural. And here along the Yamuna in Vraj, okay, this is No Jheel, about 9 kilometers long, an oxbow lake. Again, we have simply not conserved these, and if you go on the ground, they are under extreme threat. Saltwater lakes. So this is about 200 square kilometers. This is Sambhar Salt Lake, near Jaipur. It's a huge, since the middle of the last decade, around the 16th century onwards, this has been used for salt mining, and this lake is threatened because of excessive groundwater withdrawal by hundreds, thousands of illegal miners. And so this lake which is a breeding ground for flamingos. This is also, greatly endangered, and it is a Ramsar site. I think Professor Tiwari told you about Ramsar. Ramsar sites are those lakes which are of international importance, and there are 9 criteria. Amongst, if you satisfy one of them, it can be qualified as a Ramsar site. But there are other, saline lakes, and there are a lot of them in Ladakh, like this Sokar, or lesser known and even perhaps unnamed wetlands. Just water body in Bar district. This, as you can see, as the water recedes, the salt is visible. And now I'll just close with the reference to a remark made by Dr. Fayyaz that human body has around 60-70% of water. So here I'll just say, take you on a small, journey here. snowflakes, when they are put under microscopes, they have these kind of patterns. Okay. And Japanese professor Uchiro, he carried out experiments that if you form, snowflakes or crystal of various kinds of water, of polluted waters, of pure waters, of waters when a bhajan is being sung or a prayer is being said, or water from near which abusive language is being used. So the formations become entirely different. So here you can see that when you are playing heavy metal song like jazz and rock, it becomes very chaotic. Okay, when you sing, say, Edelweiss, which is a classical song, it's or Chopin, the well-known, renowned musician, you get very lovely patterns. Okay, but you know, this is this dam in Japan where the waters were very polluted. This is the result. But after prayers are read, then the crystal formation is very aesthetic. And they also took water from the Ganga, and they showed that in the upper reaches the patterns formed were beautiful. But when they went to the lower reaches, to the polluted waters, they found that the patterns were very ugly. Okay, so it could be a very interesting way to check the water quality by making these kind of crystals. So the point is that human body has so much of water. The effect of words, see, you can see the effect of words. When you say, bad words, you get bad patterns. And when you say good words, noble words, then you get lovely patterns. Okay. So what you think and what you say can have an effect on you, right? So with that, I'd like to conclude. And thank you very much for listening so patiently.
Thank you, sir. You have given such a insight about Naini Lake, historical perspective, Sanjay Lake, Haus Khas Lake, and Tughlaqabad Fort. In most of the cases, as you said, sir, how natural drainage pattern obstructed and creating problem for these wetland as we are obstructing and interrupting the catchment to the water bodies. Sir, I assured you that in Tughlaqabad Fort, all the three wetlands which has become now full of sewerage, with the help of constructed wetland, we are restoring those wetlands, and soon you will have a very functional wetland ecosystem in Tughlaqabad Biodiversity Park. Thank you so much for giving us opportunity to listening to you, and you share your a strong experience. Now we are looking forward to hearing from a person who worked on freshwater species ranging from smooth coated waters, that is beautiful animal which I love to see, to the long-snouted crocodile and many other organisms, in fact. So please put your hand together and welcome none other than Dr. Ashkar Nawab, head of the program Aquatic Ecology with Wetland International South Asia. So welcome, Dr. Ashkar Nawab.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fayaz. I hope I'm audible, and
yes, please.
My screens are also visible.
Yes, please.
Great. So good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Ashkar Nawab, and I work with the Wetlands International South Asia. At the outset, I thank Professor C.R. Babu, Dr. Fayaz Hutsar, Dr. Shah Hussain, and the faculty of Maharaja Agrasen College, New Delhi, for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to interact with you all. So my talk title, Striking a Balance, popularizes the idea to value wetlands for their multiple benefits and strike a balance between their wise use and the environmental functioning to sustain both. So wetlands support a host of animal and plant life. Almost 40% of the world's plant and animal species live or breed in wetlands. The Zoological Survey of India enlists 6,200 species from the Ramsar sites, which represent a major share of the known diversity, which includes 1/3 of mammals, 1/5 of reptiles, and 2/3 of birds. In 2005, 82 kilometers of a river stretch in the Upper Ganga in Bulandshahr district was designated as a Ramsar site to conserve the iconic Gangetic dolphins. This is perhaps the first and only example of a river Ramsar site in the world. A 115-kilometer stretch of floodplain wetlands along the Ganges from Jilmil Jheel, Uttarakhand to Hasnapur Wildlife Sanctuary, UP, serves as a suitable habitat corridor for migration of a species like the swarm deer, otters, and the hog deer. India is notable among the Central Asian flyway countries, and the many wetlands provide as convenient stopover and wintering areas for migratory birds. So these are certain examples that I'm sharing with you with respect to the importance of wetlands, any type of wetlands, whether floodplain, whether riverine, or isolated wetlands in that case. They all serve a purpose for the aquatic biodiversity. Whether it is food and water security, climate change, health, disaster risk, or economic development, wetlands are critically important for human survival. Aquaculture is the fastest growing food production sector, and rice paddies feed 3.5 billion people annually. As estimated, an acre of inland wetland absorbs around 1.5 million gallons of flood water. This regulates water flows to prevent floods and droughts. Wetlands also safeguards coastal communities against storm surges, hurricanes, and tsunamis, all natural water-mediated risks. Wetlands are most efficient land-based carbon stores. Peatlands store twice as much carbon as forests. Peatlands are forests which are very few in the expansion or the spanning. They're just 3% of the entire Earth's surface. Wetlands also provide peace tied to interacting with nature. But natural wetlands are disappearing 3 times faster than forest ecosystems. Globally, 35% of the world's wetlands have been lost since the early 1970s. India is said to have maximum wetlands in South Asia, roughly around 7.7 lakhs, which is almost 4.6% geographical area of the country. However, since the last 3 to 4 decades, 30% of the natural wetlands in India have been lost, mainly to land use change, over-extraction of water, over-exploitation of biota, pollution, climate change. But along with this, the more major concerns are the lack of knowledge of wetlands and their wetlands services. We are facing a growing freshwater crisis that threatens people and biodiversity. About 2.2 billion people worldwide go without safe drinking water. In India, climate-related disasters, particularly floods, have caused damages of more than $54.63 billion. And a study assessed during 1998 to 2017. It is also estimated that about 1% increase in floods can reduce economic growth by 2.7%, further adding to food insecurity in India. 25% of wetland-dependent species worldwide are threatened with extinction. Fires caused by drained wetlands account for an estimated 4% of global anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions. It therefore becomes increasingly important to conserve wetlands, which can help achieving the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. To sum up, I would say that thus attempts can be made to restore lost and degraded wetlands by supporting conservation of biologically rich wetlands, by designating them as biodiversity heritage sites under the Biological Diversity Act 2002. We must also document wetland values in People Biodiversity Register by biodiversity management committees under the Biological Diversity Act 2002. It is high time that the wetlands network may be expanded by recognizing them under a distinct land use category and recording them in land use records. Also, wetlands can be identified and designated under various OECM categories, that is, other ecosystem area-based conservation measures. Also, it is important to spread the word. We can encourage wetlands conservation through global and national initiatives through Cities for Forests, Asian Waterbird Census, Smart Cities programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Asghar Nawab. Even though you have given a very alarming trend that wetland disappearing 3 times faster than forest, but what a wonderful way to strike a balance with flood for food security, water security, human safety and climate regulation, culture engagement, recreational opportunity through wetland conservation. And you rightly suggested that how a People's Biodiversity Register can do miracle. And I must inform to the student that recently constituted Delhi Biodiversity Council, chaired by none other than Professor C.R. Babu, may go for People's Biodiversity Register and to see that how wetland of Delhi can help not only providing equitable sharing of benefit from the biological diversity, but how it will be protected by the people's participation. Thank you, Dr. Asghar Nawab, for sharing such a wonderful information to us. Now, there's a turn for an esteemed speaker, a trained ecologist, a passionate photographer, worked extensively in Himalayas, especially the Valley of Flower, having a heart of flower. In fact, my senior, Dr. Anupam Joshi, presently a senior environmental specialist in the World Bank, managing projects on biodiversity conservation, natural resource management, and livelihood improvement. So welcome, sir. Nice to see you in a different avatar, which we always kept compelling you to become biodiversity Baba. Now I can see you. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Joshi.
Thank you for your very kind introductory remarks, Fayaz. Having heard, from the start, Dr. Tiwari, when he so eloquently outlined the issue, the importance of global, politics around ecology, then going on to a very illustrative talk by Dr. Manu Bhatnagar, talking about, taking us to a journey of wetlands, many of the iconic wetlands that we have, ourselves visited sometimes, and at least we know about them. And now hearing Dr. Asghar about, again, the conservation of wetlands, I think the most important technical, geopolitical issues have been well covered. So I will try to focus briefly on something which I, as an ecologist or as a as a person now engaged in developmental world, have seen this. But I want to start by congratulating Professor Babu and all the staff of biodiversity parks. Both the Yamuna Biodiversity Park and the ones that have recently come up are prime examples of how things can be turned around. We have seen loss of urban wetlands very, very clearly from the slides presented by Dr. Bhatnagar. But these parks are roaring success examples of how this can be reversed, how urban planning can be made to respond to our current day environmental ecological crisis reflected in today's topic as loss of wetland. So I want to also put a note of appreciation for Delhi Development Authority for partnering these initiatives, and not just partnering it for a short time, but for emerging as a long-standing, developmental conservation partner in sustaining these parks. This is truly laudable. So, having learned about the losses of wetlands that we are facing, it's really alarming. In last 30 years, Mumbai alone has lost 71% of its wetlands. The new airport is basically nothing but came up over the wetlands. Ahmedabad, Bengaluru, other examples who have lost almost 55% of their wetlands. Delhi itself is, in the last 30 years alone, has lost more than 38 to close to 40% of its wetlands. Urbanization is a major threat. But I want to touch upon a new area, which is very ambitious, which really talks to India's commitment under the Paris Agreement to reduce our GHG emissions, and that is expansion of our energy basket using renewable resources, solar in particular. India has very ambitious targets now. We are targeting to generate 50% of our energy through renewables. A major share of that would come from solar. But the trick here is, and I would like you to search for a report that I think TNC, the Nature Conservancy, did a couple of years ago, which points a finger to where these solar parks would come up. And it is posing a big threat, in my view, to the remaining wetlands that we have, particularly those ones which are really into a rural setting, remote, not well preserved, not well conserved, not well known. Those stand to face the biggest threat. According to the TNC report, about 11 million hectares of land would be needed to meet India's solar ambition. And as you all know, land is such a limited resource and so expensive that entities or business houses that would like to generate electricity using solar parks would not be able to afford it on prime locations. So where would they go? So I'm just raising it because this, to me, would be something to constantly look for. We are keeping a track on where these parks, solar parks, would come up. On the other hand, if we are able to improve our rooftop solar approaches, which would be much better in terms of not losing our critical wetlands. I would like to show you 4 slides, and these are not my slides. These slides have I hope you can see my screen. These slides were just released day before yesterday in the 2022 economic survey, which was released by Ministry of Finance. This is available online. So I would invite you all to go and look at the economic survey. What what caught my eye was, the slide number 37, which shows nighttime luminosity. If you look at 2012, this is what India's night looked like in terms of night lights. And if you look at 2021, this is what we are. So just look at the change in 9 years. And if you're familiar with India's geographical distribution, Western Uttar Pradesh, then Etawah, Manpuri, and then more towards the east, where we still have lots of wetlands, see how urbanization is expanding. In fact, night light luminosity is becoming a major tool in understanding and assessing human migration, in understanding and assessing urbanization and associated challenges. Couple of more, slides again in the economic survey of this year. This is the map of National Highway Network in 2011. And this is into 2021. Just in a span of 10 years, look how densely we are looking at the 2000 on the expansion of our national highways. National highways require acquisition of land. It requires building roads, of course, but you may have noticed that these roads travel across through, some of the very critical important habitats that we have, wetlands, for example. So I wanted to just share these two photographs, these two slides from the economic survey. And yesterday, the finance minister mentioned that the budget for national highways, which was for the current year, which is closing on March 31, was 114,000 crore, something around that, will for the next year will be close to about 180,000 crore. So we are going to build more national highways, and this map will become even more denser. I just wanted to, share these pictures from the economic survey of this year to give you a sense of how development is impacting our natural heritage. And it is challenging to address this. And the reason is very simple, and the reason is our increasing aspirations. India is on the run to move from low-income country, LIC, to middle-income country, which we have now. We have become, under the IMF and World Bank's definition, MIC, which is called a middle-income country. But India's aspiration is to go towards high-income countries, HICs. And we need an infrastructure push to make sure that we have more and more incomes going to the pocket of the people. That is very, very critical. And in doing so, what has happened is, unfortunately, we have lost our connect with nature. So while we have, conservation management plans, we have a 5-year plan from 2018 to 2023 for wetland conservation that was brought out by MOEF. We have seen good examples today where wetland conservation can be attempted and successfully attempted and achieved. We won't succeed as a society unless we redevelop our connect with nature. We have to reconnect to some of the ways that we can respect, value, and conserve nature. I think this would be my overarching message on the World Wetland Day 2022, that we can put conservation models, but unless as a society, as a country, we reconnect with nature, which had been the ethos of this country, then it is unlikely to succeed in our conservation efforts. Thank you so much, and over to you, Fayaz.
Thank you, Dr. Joshi. You wonderfully brought that how we are aspiring to become from middle-income country to high-income country. But it is the irony to see, because young students have joined here, it is very important to understand that what kind of development we are looking for. A development which brings what do you call Corona, COVID-19, or a development which brings safe drinking water and plenty of air to breathe, or we are aspiring to see that after 2050, 50% of individuals from Delhi should visit Rajiv Gandhi Cancer Hospital. This is up to us to see that how, what do you call, night luminosity increases, and how national highway expansion increases, and how we lose and wetland vanished in Mumbai, Ahmedabad, and Delhi. Thank you so much, Dr. Joshi. It is up to young people. I am 52 years of age and probably 10, 15 years left in me. But as a student, many of you going to survive for 60 years. Now it is up to you to decide what kind of development and what kind of aspiration you're looking forward for. Thank you so much, Dr. Joshi. Now I am going to request none other than a legendary ecologist who has brought many examples in the country, brought many successful model which is being implemented across the country, and he is former Pro-Vice Chancellor and Vice Chancellor of Delhi University, and a person who has given Biodiversity Park model in the country. He is none other than Professor C.R. Babu. I hope sir is there.
I'm there. I'm here. I'm
Thank you,
here.
sir, please. Over to you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Payas, for passing a few comments about me. First of all, it's a very difficult task for me to give a concluding remarks for this webinar on the occasion of organized, on the occasion of the world, on the occasion of celebration of World Wetland Day. As usual, I would give my concluding remarks in a very different way from what the stalwarts in different areas spoken to you just before me. Now, before I give my concluding remarks, I would like to tell all the what you call participants in this webinar that the Honorable Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, Anil Nazar, who is the founder father of the Biodiversity Parks of Delhi, just talked to me, and he had seen the coverage in the newspaper about today's event, and he conveyed his what we call congratulations for organizing this webinar on the occasion of the celebration of World Environment Day, and he suggested that such events should be organized more frequently so that the public is aware of importance of these events in the conservation of bioresources, biodiversity. Now, I don't want to repeat what the stalwarts spoke, but I just want to tell you that the wetlands are unique ecosystems and are amphibious in nature and harbor highly ecologically diversified niches which support a myriad of life forms. Now, these what we call unique wetland ecosystems render a wide range of ecological services, which I think are probably elaborated by the stalwarts who spoke today in the forenoon, just before me. And these ecological services range from providing livelihood to human settlements, to cleaning the water, storing water, recharging groundwater, and provide a wide range of other important ecological services, particularly preventing flooding of most of our highly populated towns and cities. Now, what is happening to such wetlands? Everyone knows it. But the problem is we know more about theory and we more about what we call their functions, but is very difficult on the ground to identify what is a wetland. If you want really do something for protecting the wetlands, your first job is to identify the area where wetland is located. And it's not very easy task. And if it is a big water body, okay, you can say it is all right wetland. But there are many small low-lying depressions or low-lying areas which are covered with water only in a part of the year, a part of the year, and has a what we call highly hydrated substratum or sediment and characteristic hydroponic plants. Now, if you cannot identify these wetlands, you will not be able to what you call conserve the wetlands. It's all critical. So therefore, our first job is to identify the wetlands, and second job is to prevent the conversion of such wetlands into other land uses. So very important, prevention of conversion of wetlands into other land uses, right? Like filling it up and then developing a human settlement. And the third important is if these wetlands are highly degraded or otherwise converted into a sewage pond or filled with a solid waste dump, you need to restore them. And the third important point is whatever the wetlands that have been restored and preserved, we must conserve them for posterity. So therefore, my four important points which I want to bring to your kind attention is identification of the wetlands, prevention of conversion of wetlands into other land uses, a restoration of degraded wetlands back to their natural ecosystem, and conservation of wetlands. Now, all these four activities are a must for what we call protecting our wetlands, which are very unique ecosystems on this planet. Now, how students group should come out with an action plan for implementation of these 4 points which I have just mentioned it. The students should form a voluntary groups and try to identify the wetlands and see if the wetlands are being converted into other land uses. Stop it by physical intervention or through government, changing the government policies. And the third is restore the what you call degraded wetlands back to their natural state. And lastly, conservation of these wetlands and their sustainable management. Now, I just want to tell you that for the first time, Delhi State has a Delhi Wetland Authority, Delhi Wetland Authority, and now they're proposing 10 major wetlands as a conservation sites or Ramsar sites, whatever may be. And I think probably Manu Bhatnagar might have discussed these aspects of it. But what I want to say is that the voluntary students should form a voluntary groups and take a leadership in preserving these wetlands, which will provide, which will be the source of water for not only for the present generation, for the next generation that come and live on this planet. Thank you very much for giving this small time to talk to you on an important issue like conservation of wetlands.
Thank you, sir. It's such a great opportunity to see that you brought very important aspect when you said that we always speak and learn more about what you call theory, but it is very difficult to work on ground. And rightly you suggested that how it is important to identify wetland, that is very critical. And preventing it from converting into other uses, and then restoring degraded wetlands and conserve the wetland for posterity. And Yamuna Biodiversity Park, Aravali Biodiversity Park, Neela Haus, these are the best example in Delhi that how Delhi Development Authority and Delhi University work together under the supervision of Professor C.R. Babu and brought these wetlands into a functional entity in Delhi, which has many ecological goods and services being rendered by these wetlands. I am sorry to inform that Dr. Rajiv Tiwari, Principal Commissioner, DDA, and IFS officer, and well-known person in the field of forest and water, could not join us because he had to go to attend a court hearing. Otherwise, we would have benefited much more from his lecture also. So before I request Dr. M. Shah Hussain for vote of thanks for 2-3 minutes, I will request Dr. Neeraj if he can speak something, and he can ask his assistant to speak a few words before we go for vote of thanks and for virtual tour. Dr. Neeraj, if you are listening to me. Dr. Neeraj? It seems Dr. Neeraj is not around. And yes, Dr. Hussain, you can go for now vote of thanks. Dr. Kim.
Good morning, everyone. It was a really great informative session on Wetland Day celebration. I am here to present the vote of thanks to the eminent specialist speakers on wetlands and their importance. And I'm sure that the knowledge they shared on wetlands will help us in conserving them in a better way. I will take a minute and thankful to all of them. On behalf of Biodiversity Parks, I would like to thank all speakers who shared their precious knowledge with all of us. Thank you, Mr. Manu Bhatnagar sir, who highlighted the degradation of wetlands across the country and particularly in Delhi itself, and that can be implemented, his suggestions, and it will certainly boost the knowledge of all of us. Dr. Agrasen Nawab, we both shared the same department from same university. Now great to see you, and you are associated with Wetland International, implementing many projects to save wetlands and their components. Dr. Nawab has highlighted some very key issues and their solutions. Thanks, Dr. Nawab, for sharing such knowledgeable talk to all of us. Dr. Joshi, who has been our colleague in Biodiversity Parks, and it was great learning experience for all of us working with him. Dr. Joshi has highlighted the key issues regarding the urbanization of the country, which is now threatening the water bodies of the country. He shared the very informative talks or the values that we have seen how the country is just urbanizing and threatening the wetlands. The team of Biodiversity Park, thanks to all of them. And lastly, I will thank Professor C.R. Babu, who has been instrumental in reviving the wetlands of Delhi. Thank you, sir, for sharing monographic knowledge on wetlands and their conservation. And over to Fayaz.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Hussain. Now, I am requesting a person who is a person from Himalaya, probably one of the best person after Professor Babu, who designed, constructed wetland across the country and contributing to many constructed wetland system for cleaning raw sewage in Delhi. So I am requesting now none other than Yasser Arafat for taking us to the Neela Haus Biodiversity Park, a establishment of DDA where we have restored it from the from the water from sewerage. So Yasser, over to Yasser, please.
Thank you, sir. You are listening my voice?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Sir, screen.
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
Sir, issue is sharing the screen.
Yes, please do it.
No, sir, it is not going.
No, do it, do it, do it, do it. It will go. Please do it. Mohan, please help.
Yasir, you open your presentation or you walk?
Just click on share screen.
Share screen, I'm clicking.
So many students are waiting here to see Neela Biodiversity Park, that how a historical lake, in fact, a Neela Horse means Neela Lake became a dead lake. And when flyover was created on it, finally, it put final death nail to this Neela Horse, and how the, people went to Honorable High Court, and High Court contacted DD, and DDA finally requested Professor Babu, and now Neela Horse is again a Neela Horse for us. Yes, Yasir.
Sir, it is coming. Pause disabled the screen share. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it is open.
Yes.
Now bring in slideshow mode.
You go in slideshow mode. Yes.
Thank you very much, Fayaz sir, and happy birthday to you.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. We have seen some excellent presentation on wetlands. Here, I will share with you a story of revival and restoration of a dead and decaying lake, that is Neela Horse, and will take you inside virtually and show you how it is now. Neela Horse, located on Aruna Asaf Ali Road near Kishangarh, Vasant Kunj. As the name suggests, Neela is blue and the horse is lake. It was long before, maybe 100 years, the lake used to provide drinking water to the locals. It is spread in an area of 10 acres. 60% is the water and 40% is the land. With urbanization, over a period of time, sewage water started entering into it, got filled up with malba, and it became dead and decaying lake. And in 2010, just before the Commonwealth Games, the last nail was struck into the coffin was the bridge. A bridge was constructed to join the two ends of Aruna Asaf Ali Road. Seeing this pathetic condition of the lake, the residents of GNU and other neighborhood communities filed a writ petition in the High Court. The Delhi High Court ordered PWD to restore the lake in its original state of wetland ecosystem. Since the land belongs to DDA, PWD requested DDA to rejuvenate the Neela Horse. DDA notified it as a biodiversity park and requested legendary ecologist, a former Vice Chancellor, Pro-Vice Chancellor of Delhi University, Professor C.R. Babu, to take up the task. Here in a small clip, I will show you how we use the constructed wetland, and later on we'll tell in detail. This is the sewage water coming from Vasant Kunj and Kishangarh area. It is passing through a IUAC center and now in the oxidation pond of Neela Horse. This is the gradient channel, the filtration zone. This filtration zone and the constructed wetland with ridges and furrows with different aquatic plants. And the clean water comes out of it. Now I will take you inside the park and show you how it is presently. This is the entrance of Biodiversity Park. The parking area of the park. On my left is the shrub community. On my right are the plants like Tabanna montana. This steps goes to Sanjayvan forest area. This is Cassia fistula. On the periphery, we have planted bamboos. This is Justicia edathoda, highly medicinal plant for cough. This is Bargat, Ficus bengalensis. This is Butea, flame of the forest. Dak ke teen paat Maharaja isi ped ka hai. This is again Butea, Cypendus, beautiful date form. And these plants are planted here in the course of time by various officials. Visitors are walking inside. This is our small office. And this is our interpretation center. Let's see. There is some history mentioned here about Neela Haus, a map of Neela Haus, step by step constructed wetland, the plant community in the Neela Haus Biodiversity Park, the insect diversity of the Neela Haus Biodiversity Park, the bird diversity of the Neela Haus Biodiversity Park, the before and after photo, picture of the Neela Haus, before restoration and after restoration. These are some wetland birds. These are some other biodiversity components. After Neela Haus declared as a biodiversity park, plans were made. And the first work started was the desilting of Neela Haus wetland up to a depth of 1 to 2 meters. This is a video showing the desilted silt was used to make embankment around the lake and landscaping was done. This is the drainage. The sewage nala was bypassed from the side of the lake. During the restoration period, Professor Babu visited almost every day and supervised the restoration work. The grassing was done on the slope to stabilize the slope and to prevent the soil erosion. We have modules, wetland ecosystem, forest ecosystem, butterfly conservatory, scanted garden, nature trail, viewpoint, and places for recreational activities. Now I'll take you towards constructed wetland system. The park was inaugurated by the former Honorable Lieutenant Governor Shri Najib Jung on 11th November 2016. These are beautiful Zizibus trees, Albasia amara trees on the both sides of this gate. These are Anagosis serratia trees, which had attained a height of about 8 to 10 meters. Now we'll fast forward to our oxidation pond. This whole area is our constructed wetland, but I'll start from the beginning. This is our oxidation pond 1, which is rightly covered with aquatic vegetation, which is quite not visible. This is our oxidation pond 2. The purpose of oxidation pond is to treat the sewage water through the interaction of sunlight, bacteria, and algae. During the process, the algae releases the oxygen needed by aerobic bacteria. The sludge deposited in the oxidation pond removed by dredging, by removing manure. These are wire mesh before the water enters into the gradient channel, and the gradient channel also there are wire mesh to stop the sludge and other solid particle from entering into our filtration zone. There are ridges of stones through which water passes with turbulence and through which aeration takes place, dissolving oxygen into the water. Every 10 meters, we have these ridges of rocks and wire mesh. Right now, the quantity of water is not much, just because it depends. Sometime in the morning and evening, it is more. In daytime, it is less. It is basically the uses of water in the common areas. This is our filtration zone. Here, water is made to fall. Made to fall from a height of 2 feet. This way, more oxygen is getting dissolved into it, and any silt, if there is, getting settled in the tank. And here you can see it, clean water, quite clean water. Now, this is our constructed wetland with ridges and furrows. Ridges with different size of gravels and furrows with different types of aquatic vegetation. We have cypress, typha, phragmites. Other side we have ipomia. This side we have alternanthera. And very near to this, we have scented garden. If there is any foul smell from the water of the constructed wetland, that is curbed by these scented plants, lemongrass, nyctanthus, citrus plants, jatropha, barleria, tacomystans. These are the plants. Now, from here, I'll take you to next step, and I'll show you the quality of the water. I have not shown you the quality of the water which comes out of constructed wetland. Later I'll show you, because the road leads to that area. This is our nature trail. On the right side, we have shrub community, and this is our butterfly conservatory. Butterflies, the life cycle of the butterfly is butterfly lays its eggs, then the caterpillar comes out of it, the larva comes out of it, start eating the plant, and each species of butterfly have a specific host plant on which it lays eggs. We have planted host plants here, and I'll show you some of the butterflies also. This is orange-tipped butterfly. Salvadora is its host plant. This is blue pansy. This is lime butterfly. Citrus is the plant. This is glassy blue tiger. This is common jay butterfly. This is yellow pansy butterfly. This is Danade egg fly. And now we'll move towards the last part of our constructed wetland, that is cascade, from where water comes after passing through our constructed wetland, this aquatic vegetation. This is our cascade. Water from the constructed wetland after passing through ridges of stones and different species of aquatic plant reaches here. Clean water flows over the rocks and goes to wetland 1. I'll show you the quality. Clean water, very clean. This is the water analysis before constructed wetland system and after constructed wetland system. Dissolved oxygen is 0 in our oxidation pond, 3.4, and we have calculated up to 7. Now I will take you to the wetlands. Red wetland lapwings are here. On my left side, it is the water from the cascade enters into it. This is Tamarisk aphylla, aquatic vegetation. Phragmites, again, a Tamarisk aphylla. Right from here, the water from the first wetland enters into the main wetland. And this is our restored Neela Horse wetland, beautiful wetland. The embankment is well established with grasses and riparian tree species. Anagosis, Serratia, Pendula, then we have Nilotica. Lots of birds are here. Migratory as well as resident birds. People are watching from a safe distance. There are many species. This is common coot and gadwalls, migratory birds. This is northern shoveler, migrant from northern Asia during the winters. These are resident birds, spot-billed ducks. They even breed in Neela Horse. This is common moorhen. White-throated kingfisher. I'll tell you something about this interesting bird to students. Just a minute. This is a kingfisher. Probably the name says that it lives mostly near the wetland, but it is a bird which is found away from the wetland because the diet varies. It even feeds on the insects like insects and lizards also. I'll show you the other kingfisher also. This is white-breasted water hen foraging in something near the bank of wetland. This is pond heron waiting for some dragonfly fish. This is little grebe or dubchick. Dives very good. Black-winged distal and a spot-billed duck. Before we move further, it's a very interesting thing about this dragonflies. Dragonflies are the very important part of a wetland. I'll show you this one. This is lesser emperor dragonfly. The larva of the dragonfly feeds on these dragonfly lays eggs in clean water or wetlands. The larva of the dragonfly feeds on the larva of mosquito under the water. These are biocontrol for mosquitoes. This is saddleback. It sits on the topmost part of any branch or twig. This is ditch jewel. This is see something eating, green marsh hawk eating some insect. These are red skimmer and ditch, jewel ditch. These is a perfect example of food chain. These green beetles, they feed on dragonfly and other insects. And now you can see the food chain very nicely seen in our park. Now I'll take you to the other nature trail inside the park. See, the people are sitting, enjoying and basking in the sun. Right side and left side, full of forest, good canopy trees. This is Mitragaina, Kadam ka ped. This is Dalbergia. This is Edina, Haldu. Very good grass cover. This is Cordia and Nilotica. Now move ahead. This is Signature, the spider, and keep a check on smaller insects and even butterflies. Perfect example how the ecosystem is moving. There's a beautiful grass cover inside the park. This is our viewpoint. From here, we can see birds, and if some animals are there near the wetland, we'll be able to see. See, this is blue bull and spot-billed ducks and gedwards. On the shore, quite enjoying the peaceful nature. Yes, I'll tell you about this. This is common kingfisher. This kingfisher you will sight always near the wetland, not away from the wetland. But the white-throated kingfisher is, which we can see away from the wetland. This feed on fishes, the small fishes. This is the gate, leads to Sanjayvan. This is another trail ahead moving towards our mount. This is beautiful pied goose chat, a small passerine bird, feeds on insects. These are good forest communities, Adina and other species. These are seven sister birds, the jungle dabbler, feeding. People are moving around in the park. These are grass bird, plain trinia, feeding on the seeds of grass. See, this is, just now we have seen a blue bull. This is the largest antelope of India. And this is the defecation. Defecation is mostly, they come on the same spot. The male comes on the same spot for defecation and to mark their territory. This is mostly done by male. Oh, this is brown-headed barbet, a frugivorous bird species. Feeds on fruits. Interesting behavior. This is termite mound. All must be knowing about termites, a small insect. Used for they do the decomposition of wood and leaves in the forest. And many food for many birds. And even some, they are used in some traditional medicines also. We'll move little ahead. This is Acacia catechu, khair, kathe ka ped, jo pan mein katta istemal hota hai, right side mein ubhi hui hai. This is our drainage system. We have developed a drainage system so that any water goes into the wetland. This is white-eared bulbul, a dry deciduous bird species. Now we have reached to the mound where people are sitting, enjoying and basking in the sun with closeness with the nature. From here, with a safe distance, they are seeing the migratory birds. This is Pariya kite with some nesting material. Beautiful bird. This is bank manna, mostly found near the water bodies. These are Asian pied starling, lives in small groups and made different types of calls. Now we are moving to the end of the tree. This is the end part of the park. Still the plants are going. This is beautiful magpie robin. This nature education in the park is also mandatory for school children. They visit here and understand the restoration as well as.
Thank you.
And this is the mass plantation going on. And you student could also be a part. Time to time, this plantation keeps on going in the courtesy park at different times.
नदियां भी होती हैं, उस पे पेड़ पौधे होते हैं आसपास, चिड़िया नदी से पानी पीती है, ये तो बता रहा है.
Thanक you very much, sir. This is my presentation.
Thank you, Yasser, for a beautiful tour to the Nila Horse. And I hope Dr. Neeraj is around.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
I will request you to put few final words so that we can go for question answer session. If there is any student interested in asking any question and clarification, we are here to reply. And I will request you to speak few words, Dr.
Right,
Neeraj.
sir. Thank you very much, sir. I have nothing more to share as compared to what experts have already spoken about. But yes, we at Maharaja Agrasen College have been very, very passionate about nature conservation, about wetlands, and especially when I teach a paper called Delhi Through the Ages, where we talk a lot about Yamuna. Why Delhi became a capital of so many sultans, and Delhi was settled 7 times or say 10 times. So what was the importance of river at that point of time? Why people settled here? But now the plight of Yamuna, when we see, we find it in a very, very pathetic state. But thanks to this biodiversity park initiative initiated by Professor Babu, and very well managed by you all. I mean, you have Aravali Biodiversity, you have Yamuna Biodiversity, that is our second home. In fact, we keep going there, taking our students. And then other Nila Horse we just saw. So they are all excellent examples of how to conserve nature and its various sources. So I will say that it is a wonderful experience, and when this pandemic thing is over and we have our students, we do take students to all these places. So definitely our students will be benefited. And so thank you very much, sir, for providing us such a wonderful opportunity. We keep being associated with you, and we feel that by this celebrating this World Wetland Day with so many inputs from such great luminaries, it would be a wonderful contribution to the mankind. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now platform is open for a student who has any queries they can ask. We can take few questions.
Excuse me, sir. This is Gulshan from Noida.
Yes, please.
We have a small water body, which can be seen in Google Map in 2008, 8, 9, 10 approximately. But
Yes.
this is being filled up by this malwa, by the various people, and what can be done about it?
Sir, actually, if you listening since beginning, our legendary ecologist, Professor Babu, has already said that identification of wetland is very, very critical.
So how to identify? I was there since beginning. So
Right.
what should I do?
What is the ownership, sir? What is the ownership?
I think it is Noida Authority.
So, sir, I will request you please note my phone number, so that we can interact on this issue. 98.
Just hold on, sir. Just hold on, sir.
Any other question?
Yeah, please, sir.
98
98
10
10
511
511
552.
552. I'll repeat 98 105 115 52.
Yeah, 552. Last minute.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other question?
Hello, good morning, sir. Myself,
Good morning.
Himanshu.
Yes, please.
Sir, I wanted to raise an issue, as rightly Professor Babu said, that the youth is the warrior to save the urban wetlands. So my question is to respected Babu sir that I have been recently visiting a Tihar lake, a very degraded lake in Harinagar. And recently itself, I heard that DDA is going to start a project to make it concrete. Then raised my an issue and said that this will really destroy the ecology of the wetland. So what can I do?
Where, which wetland? Which wetland, Himanshu? Can you repeat it?
Sir, Tihar Lake in Harinagar. Sir, if you request, shall I run a short video of it showing how?
No, don't share. We don't have so much of time.
Okay, sir.
But I tell you, Himanshu, actually, as sir suggested that young people need to create a voluntary group.
Yes, sir.
To understand. And if you create that group, certainly you interact with the agency who is planning to do it, as you said. You can interact with agency. Probably the higher official might not be aware. Please do it.
Okay,
please,
sir,
you write to the higher official. You may get some response to it, and then accordingly you can proceed, or you can ask us. We can help you out. Thank you, Himanshu.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Actually, somebody from Dal Singh College, she is Janvi Sharma. She has asked that what measures would you suggest to develop coherence between economy, society, ecology amidst increasing environmental changes? It's a wonderful question. Actually, it is us. We need to decide, as I told you in the beginning, that what kind of development we are looking for, Janvi. That is very important to understand and raise this question, because most of the time when you look at the development aspect which is being seen through roads, and what Dr. Joshi has already shown, that how highway is increasing and how much urbanization is taking place. But who will go on those highways when we don't have that precious air to breathe, that important water to drink? So we actually, in fact, fix the agenda for the government, for the governance, because when you ask road, you get road. When you ask hospital, you get hospital. When you ask metro, you get metro. But have you ever asked that you need a river Yamuna with blue water where dolphins should jump? So please if we start asking such things, if you're looking at the government for asking many questions about the quality of air, then probably government may understand, because in democracy, we are a number. We are a number, and number matters a lot. So we have to raise questions. We have to think about ourselves, that what kind of aspiration we are carrying forward. Yes, please. Any other question?
Thank you, sir.
Sir, I'm Apurva from Dayal Singh Evening College, and my question is, how does a development project drive the economy of a nation, but may result in deteriorating environmental quality, losing biodiversity, and increasing social conflicts in the area? What measures would you suggest to develop coherence between economy, society, and ecology? Thank you, sir.
It's a very good question. Anybody, Dr. Hussain, would like to respond?
Yes, Dr. Fayaz, I'll just explain something about. There is a need of development everywhere nowadays. But there is a carrying capacity of any area, that how much and how density would be prevailing over there. So this is what, and then what are the need of the ecological services you need, like quality of air or quality of water, and the congestion and the temperature regulation you want in your area. So that is what, and there are models across the country or to the world, that if you compare the smaller cities, or if you come to Delhi or any other congested areas, you will see how you are feeling the stress. Even within Delhi itself, if you go to open area, if you go to congested area, you will feel that what kind of compositions would be there. So there are models. Like if you go to a very, very regulated or very, very planned colonies in Delhi, you will find the parks are there, roads are separated, then the things are organized, you have everything over there. So this kind of development, if it is there, then it is permitted. And if you don't have all these things like the green cover, suppose if it is one area permitted construction is 40%, certainly you must have 60% open spaces for everything. Whether parks, like Delhi is fortunate to have many other things like. But yes, the other cities don't have. So I would suggest that the development should parallel with the other greens or other ecological services. It should be into the mind. Yeah.
Actually, I would like to add in Dr. Hussein's version that development can marry environment. I understand how it can happen. A recent, pandemic, COVID-19 has suggested a way. What is that way? That if you are out from the road, there is no noise pollution, no vehicle is moving, no aircraft is moving, and wildlife is thriving. Butterflies are breeding. So what it says a limit to our development, because our country is a country with a lot of people around and a lot of natural resources. So most of the people are dependent on the natural resources. So therefore, we need to see that what COVID-19 has suggested, that how we work, how much stay at home, how much work from home, how far we travel, how our workplace should be closer to the, our resident, how we see that what kind of fuel we use for commuting, how we see that what kind of public transportation system should be available in fact, instead of utilizing individual cars, how much area need to be developed and how much area need to be green, because even a smallest green area during COVID-19 made us to see around and shows that very important niches for birds has been carved in our society itself. Some of the typical woodland birds started breeding in the society. So therefore, these are some of the examples suggesting that how we behave and how systematically we develop. Economy is very important, but economy is there to sustain humanity, our life. So life becomes most important on this planet. So therefore, and knowing the fact life begets life, so we need to sustain our life. For sustaining life, two important parameters, that is air and water, which are very important, which cannot be created by human beings. So therefore, it is up to you to decide the kind of development model you need to accept. What Dr. Hussain has suggested, why I suggested you, and many other speakers suggested you. Thank you. So now if everybody agrees, now we'll end this program by saying the last word of Professor Babu, that it is very critical to identify wetland, and it is very important to prevent what a gentleman from Noida was telling, prevent wetland converting to other land use. And if those wetlands are full of sewerage, we need to restore those wetlands. And finally, we need to conserve that wetland for posterity for longer period of time. With these words of Professor C.R. Babu, I am thankful to all of you that you all came, and I'm thankful from the Biodiversity Parks, Delhi University and Delhi Development Authority, and I hope our interaction will keep going on further in future. Thank you so much.
Dr. Fias,
yes,
can
please.
I say a word?
Yes, madam, please.
I would like to thank, on behalf of everybody sitting here, I'm sure, the organizers for organizing such a wonderful webinar, a collection of such dignitaries and such a wide coverage of this whole topic. And definitely the discussion part which went off so beautifully. I think we should have this kind of meets, not just on special days, but even on a regular basis. I am very grateful to Professor Babu. Whenever I listen to him, I go back to my student days, and sir, you always inspire. N number of times I have heard you, and N to the power N number of times I have learned from you. Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you, the organizer.
Thank you, madam. Professor Babu is certainly not only inspiration, he's a kind of architect of environment. He's just not a taxonomist, or he's just not a biochemist, but whatever he says become a rule of nature, in fact. Thank you so much. Thanks to everybody. Thank you.